Hello and welcome. Thank you for joining. Today is going to be action-packed, full of a lot of information. So buckle up. Let's dive in. So I'm Travis Chambers. I run a company called Chamber Media. We've made over 20,000 live action social ads just in 2020 alone. To my knowledge, we're making the most social ads in the world, and I want to share everything that we've learned with you that you can use these tools and these insights. These are some of the people we've worked with: Manon Matthews, Laura Clary, Russell Brunson, the CEO of ClickFunnels, JP Sears. We've worked with the Holderness family, Penn Holderness, Danny Trejo, and even Brian, aka Kevin from The Office. We've worked with some of the best brands in the world: Tuft & Needle, Potbelly Sandwiches, Fabletics, ClickFunnels, NordicTrack, a lot of brands that you may have heard before. And what I'm going to tell you today has transformed the lives and businesses of dozens of entrepreneurs. Trevor Hiltbrand, Transparent Labs, we've worked with for years. These guys literally made me personally millions of dollars. They're my best kept secret. I almost even want to tell other people about them. Or Kyle Davis, Mr. Cool. Our sales are up for 50% over year, and that's not even to mention the response we've had around the videos we've made. But don't be worried. This is not a sales pitch. I'm sharing information with you guys. You got to give if you're going to get. So don't worry. This is a value bomb, value focused presentation. So just so you know, this is me in college, guys, wearing puka shells. What am I doing? What am I even doing here? I don't know. But this is where I was. I was a pretty average student that went to a very average state school. I didn't have any great business ideas. I didn't know any rich people, kind of like a working class guy. And I found out all of the things that I'm going to teach you today. And that is what really enabled me to get to the next step. And when I did get to the next step, it was still horribly difficult. I was flying all around trying to speak at these conferences, and I would get maybe one deal out of each conference. It was just a really bad way to do marketing. And I couldn't really break that 2 or 3 million a year revenue barrier by doing this manual approach to get clients and to get leads and to get customers. And I'm going to show you how I changed all of that around. And I'm going to show you exactly what it did for us. For the longest time, I was the doctor who smoked. Here I was selling video marketing and social video ad creative with ad buying to all these companies, but I wasn't doing it myself. And when I finally stopped being the doctor who smoked and started using my own strategy for ourselves, things absolutely exploded. And stick around, because at the end, I'm going to show you what happened. But yeah, just in a year, we went from 20 to 100 employees. And I'm telling you, you can do the same. We went from 3 million to 12 million a year. And I'm going to show you how. We have a tool that took our success rate from 50% to 80% on our ad launches. So imagine making ad creative and it really only being successful half the time, whether it's for yourself and your own company or it's for your clients. And imagine taking that to an 80% success rate. We spent a lot of money building this tool that allowed us to do that. So what about other people? Lifesaver. They were dependent on distributors. They were doing $1 million a year in sales. They started working with us to launch a D2C, direct to consumer arm, and went to 5 million with what I'm going to teach you today. Transparent Labs. They were a supplement company, completely dependent on affiliates to do all of their marketing. They did what I'm going to teach you today. They made a scalable acquisition model using social ads and good creative. They went from doing 2 million to 24 million within 2 years. Mr. Cool, another one. They were only selling through regional distributors. They were doing $10 million in sales. We launched this method, went to 167 million in 3 years, guys. Crazy. Piperwhite. They were dependent on Shark Tank reruns. They got lucky. They got on Shark Tank. They got into the 7 figures in revenue. But what happens with reruns? They eventually slow down. They eventually end, and their sales were going down. So we built a predictable, scalable, replicable, predictable, whateverable else you want to add model. We increased our retail sales by 250%, and these ad creatives drove over $2 million in online sales. So just imagine if you could develop a machine that works while you sleep. And every dollar you put in, you get $4 out. That's what's happening for hundreds and thousands of brands all over the world that know how to do this stuff. And I just want you to know, any company of any size can have success with social video ads, whether it's driving $20,000 in sales or driving $20 million in sales. This strategy and approach, it works for everybody. But you got to stop doing things the hard way. The hard way is making ads without knowing what should be made, wasting money on creative that will never work, only running low funnel creative and small, cheap ads that are in retargeting, or spending too little too slow. The easy way is making ads that you already know are probably going to work so that you can spend confidently with a full funnel strategy, and then knowing how to read the attribution, knowing how to read the room and figure out if stuff's really working. Because sometimes it's working and you don't even know it and you don't scale. Can you imagine if you could get your ad spend to $50,000 a month and it drove $200,000 a month in sales? How life-changing could that be for you? And if you're already running 100, 200, 300,000 a month, imagine if you could 4X that profitably. So my goal for this training is, one, show you our secret research tool we use for every campaign that could be game-changing for you. Be less dependent on Facebook's targeting. We all know that iOS is doing all these privacy things, and the targeting in Facebook is getting worse and worse and worse. And what I'm telling you today is the answer of how to overcome that. And 3, to gain confidence with your marketing budget. It's really hard to fork out $2,000 a month, $10,000, $20,000 a month. You don't have a lot of confidence that you're doing the right thing. What if you're not running the right ads? What if you're not employing the right strategy? You could just be setting money on fire, and that's not a good feeling. So the 3 things you're going to learn today is the ad layering strategy, the everything ad, and the $100 million ad tool. So buckle up. Secret weapon number 1. Imagine if you're an ice cream shop and you sell one flavor of ice cream. You're only ever going to get one kind of customer. But you got to be Baskin Robbins. You got to have multiple flavors. And that's the problem that so often happens with the ad creative that people make on social, on Facebook ads, YouTube, Instagram, is people just make a couple ads and think that that's going to work with everybody. That's not true. You've got to make dozens of ads a year because different ad creative will resonate with different types of people. And I've got data to back this up. Mr. Cool and Transparent Labs are brands that we've worked with for over 3 years. And the yellow trend line here is Transparent Labs. We made a batch of creative and they ran that creative for 2 years. We ran it for them. And it did great. Went from $200,000 a month to $1 million a month. After 2.5 years, they got acquired for $10 million. It was a great success. But they never invested in new creative. They never continued pushing the bar and appealing to a wider base. Mr. Cool, however, doubled down and continually made new sets of creative with us that we were running. And now Mr. Cool does over $100 million a year in 3 years. If you can just imagine the huge difference between these 2 examples. The numbers don't lie. It goes for brand lift as well. If you just look at branded search terms for Mr. Cool, it correlates perfectly with every new batch of creative that we made. Secret weapon number 2. You walk into a Costco and there's a guy selling pots and pans and knives, and he's droning on about the features and benefits. What are you going to do? You're going to keep walking because you don't need pots and pans and knives. You've already got them. But then you pass this other guy, and he reminds you of Chris Farley in Beverly Hills Ninja. He's flipping these pots and pans all over the place. He's got fish. He's doing demonstrations. He's got jokes. He has a performance that captivates you. And all of a sudden, you realize you've been standing here for 5 minutes watching this thing happen. And all of a sudden, you start considering buying. That is the power of the ad layering strategy. Now look at this, for example. Most of you, if you're running ads at all, are running really short video ads. That's what everyone thinks you should do. But running only short video ads is like building a hut. it may work. You may be able to sleep in it, but it's not going to be there for very long. It's not going to be very comfortable, and it's just not a long-term strategy. Whereas doing longer, higher production ads is like building a concrete house that'll be there for centuries. You may have to replace the roof, the drapes, the carpet, but the structure of the house is going to be there, that core creative momentum. And a lot of times people obsess over the percentage of an ad watched. You know, oh, well, they watched 50% of my 10-second ad. Okay, well, would you rather have that? Or would you rather have someone watch 30% of a 4-minute ad and spend 4 times the time looking at you and considering your product? And with our long videos, we see an average watch time of 30 to 23 seconds. But it goes further. Longer creative assets have a longer shelf life. They cost more to make. They take more resources and energy to pull off, but they run for longer. So do you want to have to continue making these cheap ads all the time and always reinventing? Because people don't want to see low budget, cheap stuff all the time. They want to see more interesting, eye-catching stuff. They want to see that someone has really invested some forethought and creativity into this. But you could just see here, the higher production and longer an ad is, generally speaking, the longer it will last. And you'll see lifts all over the place. Lifts in lifetime value, average order value, click-through rate, conversion rate. These are all the important conversion metrics that you need for an e-commerce store to really work, or a service, or whatever it is you're selling. You'll have a brand lift, like I showed you. People will be able to recall your brand. You get more direct searches to your website. More people will be searching your brand, searching for your category. You have a retail lift, and your assets will last longer. And that's the benefit of the everything ad. And that's what I'm going to show you guys. This is an everything ad that we made for PiperY, and their conversion rate, so the number of people going to the website and buying was 3.5%. It went up to 8%. People before were spending $16 when they bought. They started spending $22 on average. The reorder rate, so people buying the product a second time, went from 22% to 65%. And because of that, over a year of people buying, they were spending $84 instead of $36. This is the power of the everything ad. So, okay, Travis, this is great, but what is this everything ad thing you're talking about? I don't get it. So we did a $100 million ad study. We took every ad that we've ran for the last 7 years, we put it to a database, and we analyzed what creative worked and why. But we went a step further. We went and polled the top 1% of ads of the top 2,000 Shopify stores. And what we found blew us away. We found out that 50% of all ads being run by the top 2,000 Shopify stores are product demonstrations. 20% social proof, 19% dynamic ads, 4% lifestyle ads, and yada yada. So it goes on and on. But guess what was the top performing ad of these 7 in the study? The spokesperson anchor video, which is the everything video that I'm showing you. And yet it only consists of 2.4% of all video creative being ran. Huge opportunity. Why does it work? Why? Why does everything ad so special? Well, because it incorporates all types of ads into one super ad. Social proof, dynamic ad, lifestyle, product demonstrations, unboxings, a spokesperson. It puts it all together, and it's hard to make. It's expensive to make. It's long, but the proof is in the pudding. So what does an everything ad look like? Well, it uses a strong story and narrative. It's usually 1 to 2 minutes long. Sometimes it's 3 or 4 minutes long. Usually uses a spokesperson in a fast-paced environment. It has a certain framework that moves through the sale correctly. Multiple calls to actions. It usually has actors, sets, props, strong engagement mechanics, and it usually has high-end production value. And just look at this everything ad that we made for Tuft and Needle. We brought in a customer who had purchased a mattress and had a great customer experience. So there's your social proof. Then we have this huge visual that demonstrates reviews, visualizing in kind of a product demo kind of thing. We have a case study with some stats. We have people move in and it shows our reviews. It demonstrates a different type of ad. We have a product demo walking through, showing the mattresses. And every kind of ad is all in this thing. So how is this new? Well, what we found is there's the old way of doing things and there's a new way of doing things. The old school way is to get the cheapest traffic you can and make your website do all this heavy lifting to get people to buy, and then to get your emails and your funnels to get them to buy. That's the old approach. But the problem with that is that traffic is expensive. Clicks are 5 times more expensive than they were 5 years ago. It's just too expensive to do it that way. And the truth is a website is not an audiovisual experience. It's a static experience. It's not as compelling as video and qualifying someone. Once they've clicked to your website and decided not to buy, you're still left with the bill of that click. The new school video funnel is to make really good creative and really good video ads that qualify your customer, because views are cheaper than clicks. So someone can watch your video, and they'll know, this isn't right for me. I'm not going to click. You're basically qualifying non-customers out so that the ones who do click are the ones who are most likely to buy. Because your video ads are so good, once they get there, they're ready to buy. With Mr. Cool, with $100 million in sales, our highest converting page is the product page. We send them right to the product page and they buy. They don't sit on it. They don't consider. They've seen the videos. They have the information. They pull out their credit card and they buy a $1,500 product. Views are cheaper than clicks. The difference is 5 cents versus $1.20. Secret weapon number 3 is our $100 million ad tool. Imagine you're making the movie Titanic. You have now made the most expensive movie of all time. How does that apply to you? You've built a product. You've done R&D. You've done a supply chain. You've built out a team, customer service, offices. You have this big operating expense to make this product. And making bad ads is like hiring someone for $100 on Fiverr to make your movie poster. Imagine if the creators of Titanic had someone on Fiverr make the poster to sell the movie. It's ridiculous. It's as ridiculous as these memes are. It's totally nuts. It's almost as crazy as these guys. Imagine if this was trying to sell you the Titanic. It's like putting all of your money and effort into a race car and giving it this paint job. Why would you do that to your brand? It's like holding the Super Bowl and hiring your nephew to be the halftime show. Or even worse, Nickelback. It's like having Nickelback. It's your halftime show. It's just, you've got all these people in the stands, this huge arena, huge marketing budget, the best athletes on the planet, and you're going to have Nickelback come play? That's the face? That's the lipstick that you're going to put on this thing? No. That's where the chamber brain comes in. We spent hundreds of thousands of dollars with machine learning engineers to take over 50,000 ad creatives and to analyze and to mine them and to perform gap analyses and to figure out which ads are working and why, so that we can replicate it. And this is what it looks like. At Chamber Media, when we're making creative, we're able to look at the type of editing, whether the page is verified, what the price of the product is, what industry, what the video length is, how many shares it has, what its ad score is, what kind of ad it is. We're able to even know from an estimate perspective what kind of revenue has been generated by that ad. And we know what ad type it is. Is it a product demo? Is it a lifestyle ad? And when we started using the brain with Slingshot to tell us what kind of creative to make, the return on ad spend that we were running went from a 2.5 to 1 to a 4.4 to 1. And now we're spending $150,000 a month instead of $10,000 a month. We have doubled the revenue of this company in about 8 months. 1.4 million in sales, 22,000 conversions. If this has been helpful for you guys, you need to reach out to us and schedule a call, because this really could